Good afternoon. My topic report is all about curriculum development in the Philippines. I'm Adrian A. Medrano, the reporter for this afternoon. So let's proceed to my topic. So the main objectives of my report is to trace the historical foundation of curriculum development in the Philippines. Next is to identify different curriculum models used in the Philippines. And last is to know the components of grading scale used in the Philippines. So, what is curriculum development? Curriculum development is defined as the process of selecting, organizing, executing, and evaluating learning experiences on the basis of the needs, ability, and interest of learners and the nature of the society or community. So, we have to take note that the process of selecting, and then we have to organize what we have selected and execute what we have organized, and then we have to evaluate what has been executed in order for us to really validate if we have this strong curriculum. So talking about the processes is it includes the processes that are used in determining the needs uh, of the learners, and then it is also to develop the aims and objectives for the program, to answer those needs and to determine the appropriate syllabus or course structure, the teaching method and the teaching materials to be used in the teaching and learning process. So what are the motives of curriculum development? So number one is religion. Religion would always affect the curriculum. Why? Because when we talk about foundation of curriculum, we can see religion really affect the curriculum development, because education in the curriculum, there is this reflection of religious belief of this particular country or particular group of learners. Next is political. You see, whoever's in the position, they always affect the educational system, and it would always affect how they organize our curriculum in our country. Next is utilitarian reasons. We revise the curriculum. We need to develop curriculum for practicality purposes and for functionality purposes that are responding to the economic needs for rationally purposes. So the fourth one is the mass education. So mass education is defined as the larger access of middle and working class students to a higher education. Last is for excellence in education. You see, development curriculum is constantly evolving because we want to achieve this excellence in education, because we want to be a part of the other countries and for us to compete in the global market. That's why we are constantly developing and upgrading our curriculum in order for us to attain excellence in education. So, attaining the excellence of education, we have to know where we begin. We have to know our foundation. Moving on to our next slide is a throwback of the Philippine curriculum. So, the first one is the pre-Spanish curriculum. So, the pre-Spanish curriculum happens before 1521. The aim of education is survival, conformity, and enculturation. The type of education of pre-Spanish curriculum is informal, practical training. The next one is the Spanish device curriculum. So this curriculum happens in 1521 to 1896. The aim of education of Spanish device curriculum is to promote Christianity and Spanish languages. So the type of education is formal religious education. Next is the American devised curriculum. So American curriculum happens in 1898 to 1935. The American devised curriculum aim of education is to teach democracy, separation of the estate and church, and public school system. The type of education is formal, which focuses on 3 R's: good moral and right conduct, hygiene and sanitation, and English as medium of instruction. Next is the curriculum during the Commonwealth. The curriculum during the Commonwealth began in 1935 to 1946. The aim of education is to develop moral character, vocational efficiency, preparation of independence, and the type of education is formal and vocational. Next is the Japanese devised curriculum. Japanese devised curriculum began in 1941 to 1944. The aim of education is about love of labor and military training. The type of education is formal education and vocational training. They say that the Japanese devised curriculum tried to erase every influence of American and the entire society, including the entire society of Philippine curriculum. Next is the curriculum during the Liberation period. Curriculum during the Liberation period began in 1944 to 1946. The aim of education is about morality, responsibility, helping the community, and culture heritage. The type of education is formal and vocational. And this time, the medium of instruction in this curriculum was Filipino language. Next is the curriculum during the Philippine Third Republic. Philippine Third Republic began in 1946 to 1972. The aim of education in the Philippine Third Republic is about the appreciation of culture preservation and culture heritage, use of books or Filipino books and literature, and the bilingualism. The type of education is formal and vocational. So in this curriculum, they say that to improve our curriculum, the researchers conducted some valuable research during the Filipino Third Republic from 1946 to 1972. The researcher became more prevalent and greatly helped in facilitating the expansion and improvement in the Philippine curriculum. Next is the curriculum in the new society. This curriculum began in 1972 to 2012. The aim of education of this curriculum is about love of country, duties of citizenship, and self-discipline. The type of education is also formal and vocational. So the aim of this curriculum is about nationalism, patriotism, moral values, and relevant academic works. The medium of instruction during that time is Filipino, and in other languages, that includes English. Also, it includes here the implementation of flag ceremonies or the heraldic code. And the last is the Philippine Basic Education Curriculum or the K-12. So this type of curriculum began in 2012 up to present. As the Philippines continues to witness the result of all the underpinnings, the researches, and the happenings internationally and locally, a more developed and globally competitive curriculum would naturally make itself known. That's what we call the K-12 curriculum, or what we call the Enhanced Basic Education Program. Also, the implementation of the K-12 system is the product of the need to compete with the international standards of education in the global market. So these are the Philippine Basic Education Curriculum, the National Elementary School Curriculum or the NSEC, National Secondary Education Curriculum, or the NSEC, Revised Basic Education Curriculum, RBEC, Secondary Education Curriculum, or the SEC 2010, and the K-12 Basic Education Curriculum. So what is K-12 Basic Education Curriculum? The Republic Act 1053-3, also known as the Enhanced Basic Education of 2013, is a program which encompasses at least 1 year of kindergarten education, 6 years of elementary education, 6 years of secondary education. In that sequence, secondary education includes 4 years of junior high school and the 2 years of senior high school. So what is the grading system here in the Philippines? So in kindergarten, they use checklist, anecdotal records, and portfolios are used in kindergarten instead of numerical grades, which are based on the kindergarten's curriculum guide. While in grade 1 to 12, learners are graded on the 3 components every quarter: the written works, performance task, and the quarterly assessment or the test. Next is there are components are given specific weights which varies. The number 3 is all grades will be based on weighted raw scores of the learner's summative assessments. And the last is the minimum grades needed to pass a specific learning areas is 60, which is then transmuted to 75 in the report card. So that's all for my report, and thank you for listening. Have a wonderful afternoon.